Hi everybody, this is Justin Elliott with Elliott's Estate Sales, and this is going to be episode number 4 of an 8-part series called Estate Sale Bizarre Stories. And so it is going to be about stories of my journey in the last decade of doing estate sales all over Oklahoma and the interesting details and breaches of contracts and crazy folks that are involved, whether it's in the customer side, the seller side. So I'm going to call this particular segment The Greedy Real Estate Agent on a Budget. And her name is Sarah. And I laugh because, very often I deal with real estate agents, okay? And you've got real estate agents that are very humble and are very nice and that are the sweetest person in the whole wide world, and they would do anything for you. And they do their job with passion, and they do their job regardless of money, regardless of how large your home is, and regardless of your household income, okay? And those are kind of the real estate agents that I try to do business with. Those are the kind of real estate agents I recommend to my customers. You know, once you get successful, it is very hard to be, confident without being overconfident and cocky. And it's something that I struggle with myself. People think that I'm very overtly confident. They think that I'm overtly rude sometimes and short with people and demeaning with my words and the way that I look at people. And it's something that is a continual problem with me that I have to continually work on. And I just have to learn to smile and be myself. But it's sometimes hard for me because I get stuck in my head. But that being said, this particular estate sale, estate liquidation took place. It was in a really, really nice house over in the Edmond, Oklahoma City area. And this particular estate sale, the owner owned a tree farm. And the house was built in this really great neighborhood that I believe that the people that owned the tree farm were actually building the entire neighborhood. And this is like a 20 or 30 acre, settlement of really nice houses, upscale houses. You buy a plot, they build it, or maybe you buy a plot and you could build it, use your own builder. I can't remember. But this particular estate sale took place, years and years ago. And it was a really great house, super modern. You walk in, it's amazing furniture, shipped in from, other states, and, lots and lots and lots of really nice stuff. And if you're a frugal person, you looked at that stuff and you just rolled your eyes because there's no way that you were going to pay, a couple $1,000s for a sofa that cost someone $6,000, because it was just crazy, ludicrous, because there's so many mixed incomes here in Oklahoma. Whereas other people were calling to, with their credit card to pay $6,000 over the phone for a sectional. So it's a really interesting dynamic as far as Oklahoma goes. I mean, as far as, different cities and different zip codes, it is insane the differences of property values. Anyway, so we're doing this estate sale, and a really nice real estate agent calls me, just like I've said in other videos. Hi Justin, how are you? My name is blah blah blah, and I follow you, and I love your services, and I really enjoy whatever that you do. And then, my question is this, what do they have to sell? What's the drama? What's the situation? Do we have a closing date? Is there a deadline? Can I meet them first? Because sometimes I get a real estate agent that wants to hoard everything. Like they think that, the customer's going to sign and then they're going to be able to communicate with me, which is not the case. I prefer to deal with the owner, and they legally don't have any say over personal property within the house. So, it makes it kind of a roadblock. But this particular lady, I guess she thought for some reason that, I was, just some young kid and that she was going to tell me what to do. Maybe that's the way she talks to her lawn keeper, her gardeners, maybe the other people that work for her. I'm not sure. But it was definitely going to be a problem between her and I could tell immediately once that contract was signed. Now, I signed the contract, met with the owner, looked over the stuff. The owner was super duper nice. She was in a heavily stressed situation. They had sold their house, or maybe they were building a house. They needed money for something, and they were selling their house, and they were moving. And, this particular estate sale, I remember, there was some kind of weird insect that would come to this particular part of Oklahoma City. And there was a big, giant pond or, some kind of reservoir of water behind this particular estate sale. And all these monstrous, weird-looking fly things were coming. And it's not that crazy hornet thing that they're talking about, that can murder you or something. But they said that they were aggressive. And I'm over here freaking out for all my customers, and I hate insects. I do not do insects. I don't do snakes. Nope. Ain't not gonna happen. So good insect around my house is a dead one that's squashed. So now that being said, I do like my butterflies and I do like my ladybugs and my roly polies. But if you're gonna sting me, or if you're gonna annoy me, or you're gonna hurt one of my animals or something, you gotta go. But that being said, so we go to this particular estate sale. We get in there, I start liquidating everything. The people live in the estate sale, and to me that is a number one no-no. Number one no-no. But I liked the lady and I liked the estate sale, and I thought she seemed reasonable and we would be able to make it work between the two of us, because I was cutting Sarah, the real estate agent, on a budget. I was cutting her out because I'm not here, my contract's not with her. So I'm working for the seller, and I've had many instances where real estate will overstep their boundaries when it comes to personal property versus the stuff that actually is for sale. I think I have a bird over here beside me. Sorry. I'm actually in my front yard, and if you watch many of my videos, you know that there are tons of birds that love my front yard, and I love to be outside. I'm continually outside, and they like to get worms and grubs and all kinds of stuff in my yard. So I'm sorry if you hear a bird to my left. But anyway, so back to the story. I get to the estate sale, we liquidate everything, we're advertising everything, I'm pricing everything. The person that's buying the home wants to buy things in the home. And not only that, but they want to pay full price. And so I'm obligated by my contract to sell anything they want in the house before I've already advertised to the general public. And sadly, that was not agreed upon in my contract. So I'm advertising things that are not going to be for sale to the general public, which immediately gets me, in my opinion, a problem, because I've got people that will call and say, I've driven all the way from Norman to come to your estate sale, and I can't believe that you advertised something. Again, it's not my fault. I'm so sorry that that happened to you. If it was my stuff, I would have more say over it. It's not my stuff. I'm just here to liquidate it, and sometimes people make a last-minute decision, and they just take it, and sometimes without even telling me. So, anyway, back to the story. The real estate agent decides this is before the owner actually has an opportunity to buy the stuff. The real estate agent starts wanting to negotiate with me before the general public, before anybody gets to see this stuff, for prices that I think of are just obscene. Prices that are like a tenth of what we're going to be able to get at an estate sale. Here I am in my brain thinking, look, this is going to be a $20,000 estate sale. I'm going to be able to X amount of money, and I'm going to be able to get my seller the X amount of money. And those numbers are worked well because I've bid the job according to what I think I'm going to bring in the house. It's a beautiful house. It shows well. It's in a good part of town. People are going to want to be able to come to this estate sale. And so that being said, I took it and I negotiated it. Well, this real estate agent starts making her own negotiations and then starts trying to cut me out of the deal by talking to the owner and saying that she's going to pull out as a real estate agent if she doesn't get her way with chairs. So as you can imagine, literally this adds stress to my seller, which adds stress on my part as well. And again, if you want to know who this is, I'll be happy to tell you who it is. Her name is Sarah. And fortunately for her, she owns the brokerage that she works for, and her husband owns the brokerage that she works for. And I did file basically a complaint with the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission on this lady, because I felt as though she completely tried to cut me out of my own contract. She hired me, contracted me for my services, and here she is trying to rip off my seller of things in the house that cost, buku's amount of money, really nice stuff. And she knew what I would be able to bring, because the seller and I had already discussed what I thought it would bring. But, this kind of stuff happens all the time. And, folks are, I have real estate agents that I work with really well that are really, really nice to me and respect what I do and appreciate my service, because I do help a lot of real estate agents in Oklahoma. And I do a lot of business with real estate agents in Oklahoma. I do sell real estate agent. I flip houses. I sign contracts. Me calling you up and making an offer on a house, that's no problem. Everybody wants to be your friend when they're bringing their money, right? But I felt that Sarah's intention was to rip me off, first of all, and then rip my seller off. And I couldn't allow that. Because if she was going to do that over furniture, what's she doing with the house? There's got to be something. Maybe she's buying the house cheap, or there's something else that's going on here that is not in my customer's best interest, my seller's best interest. So immediately, I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to report her behind when the sale is over. She backed off, wanted everything for nothing, and I drew her up a invoice for what she wanted at the prices I was going to offer it for. No, absolutely not. Told me that she's not interested in anything, and it was really snide about it. And so, I talked to my seller and I said, look, I'm so sorry that you've been put in this situation. This kind of stuff happens to me a lot. And, sometimes real estate agents, they don't respect the business or the contract that somebody else may have with their seller. And so I was able to sell most of the items that this lady wanted for nothing, basically, for full price to the buyer of the house. They didn't have to move. They didn't have to go anywhere. They stayed where they were. We wrap them up. We protect them for the buyer of the house and the seller of the house. And we brought the seller like $10,000. And if I had allowed this real estate agent to go in there and buy all this stuff, she would have taken this lady's money and literally absorbed all the costs for her own benefit. Tell me if you think that's a conflict of interest. If you think that you are interested in thinking that it is a conflict of interest, I'm definitely happy to give you the information. It was not, I didn't hear anything about it afterwards. And so for me, I just kind of feel like it was unfair to the seller, and I work for the seller. And if you are a shopper in my estate sales, I work for the seller. I do not work for my shoppers. Okay. I don't to make that stance ever, and I never have. So my loyalty lies with my sellers. So that being said, that is the end of that one. I wish that it was better news, but that being said, I mean, it ended up really nasty as far as with the real estate agent. But for the seller, she was super happy, and we sold most of her stuff, and it was great. That everything went wonderful. So on to the next one.